Joining us now to help perhaps make straight what is crooked in terms of what we've heard so far is Mr. Daniel Bwala, who is a legal practitioner and also a member of Lincoln's Inn in London. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you have said concerning this matter that the president needs to investigate. Is this all shocking to you, what you are currently hearing from the House of Reps? I think it's also important to state that this is the House of Reps committee conducting this open hearing. The Senate seems to prefer to conduct it in camera. You have asked the president to intervene in this matter. But first and foremost, before we go to the president's intervention, what do you make of all that we've heard so far?
Confusion and confusion and confusion. The reason is because, number one, what is not in doubt is that the man Maina was invited, and documents are in the public domain to that effect. Number two, it is also not in doubt that Maina was reinstated, promoted, and he was receiving emolument. Number three, it is also not in doubt that the Office of the Attorney General advised the head of service regarding the order of the court and the need for him to be reinstated, even though Attorney General yesterday was trying to deny, to say that that letter could not have emanated from his office.
He said could not have genuinely emanated. In other words, did somebody fake the letter that emanated from his office?
Right, so distinction without a difference. Number four is the fact that the head of service replied and stated clearly she was not the one that principally instigated or influenced the return and reinstatement of the man. There is also a letter from the office of the Interior Minister that said the man should turn himself over to the EFCC for further investigation. When you look at the combination of these factors, one fact is clear. Something is wrong somewhere, perpetrated by either a person, two people, or two or three or more agencies of the government. Now, if this is not a fact or a reality, the president will not have in the first place made that order that there should be an investigation to determine the circumstances leading to his invitation and reinstatement. I hold the view, Maina being at large is on purpose by some quarters. And the idea is that if Maina should show up, a lot of cans are going to be out. A lot of worms are going to be out of the can. Now, Maina has said a couple of things that have been published. I try not to give probative value to that because I feel if Maina wants to be credible about all this, Maina should turn himself over to EFCC and let out all the information, let Nigerians get to know. Because Maina cannot claim that the administration of Jonathan wanted to kill him and this administration also is attempting to kill him. You have heard from his lawyer that this man, even when he was alleged to have been sacked or disengaged from the service, that this man has been functioning. He was receiving correspondence, he was responding to letters, and he was also receiving pay. So something is fundamentally wrong. And I think that the idea of setting up committee and committee and committee is the same problem that has occurred severally during the time of Jonathan. When a committee sits, they keep having meetings and then the masses forget about the case and it dies down. This is a fundamental test to the character of the president in the bid to fight graft in this country.
Now, some people will say that he's been tested many times. We've seen, we heard about the letter written by the Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachiku, over what was happening in the NNPC. We also saw how he was, his character was called to question over the SGF, which we still haven't heard much over. And this now we have this Maina issue. But really, for you, when you look at all the people involved and the testimonies that they gave yesterday at the hearing, who do you think is most culpable in this matter?
Well, I would rather say, who do I think has been exonerated? Because there are quite a number of people that, in my opinion, and the opinion of anybody who has listened to the hearing, you know,
it might be easy to get out who's been exonerated, because there were also speculations over who over the conversation. We're not sure if it was an altercation, but it looked like a very heated conversation of the head of service and the chief of staff at the Federal Executive Council, I think just before right in front of the Vice President. Recall that people were not very sure what they were talking about. Speculation was rife that it was over this Maina matter.
I agree.
Has she been exonerated?
I think she has, because the argument at the time was that why did she leak the response letter? Not that she was implicated in the case. You know, I gave her, that's why I'm giving her benefit of doubt. I want to adopt my previous interview here when I made my candid opinion about the office and the person of the Chief of Staff as a foundational problem of the presidency. So I want to adopt even in this scenario. But I think that the head of service, from the circumstances of the case, can be said to be exonerated. Now, let me tell you something. From when the letter was alleged to have emanated from the office of the Attorney General to yesterday when he had to react, he did not at any material time debunk, denied the origin of that letter. And it is our characteristic as a nation, what is not admitted, what is not denied or traversed, is deemed admitted. Now, technically, what he said yesterday
what are you referring to now?
I'm referring to the office of the Attorney General, because the foundation of this problem started from the office. There was a letter. He's the chief law officer of the country. He's the one that advised the government of the Federation regarding legal matters. So he issued the letter advising head of service that there has been an order reinstating him and obtaining that illegal sack, so to speak, and they should give effect to the order of the court. Now, the point is, at the time that letter was purported to have been issued, EFCC is under the supervision of the Office of the Attorney General, and they are supposed to work together. EFCC has strong allegation against the said man. I think that before you write out this letter to head of service to initiate his reinstatement, you ought to put into consideration the fact that this man is alleged to have committed offense and for which he has been declared wanted. So you will treat that first before you go to the next one. But now, the recent denial goes to establish the fact that even that opinion which was given, which he said could not have genuinely emanated from him, was wrong.
He said the letter reinstating Maina could not have genuinely emanated from his office. Is it the same letter which he wrote to the head of service saying that, well, these charges have been quashed? Would we say that they are the same letter we're talking about?
Now, I'm a lawyer. For people who are non-lawyers, they may not understand this, but let me tell you this. The man before now had been a staff of the government of the Federation. He was sacked. And he went to court.
He was allegedly sacked.
He was allegedly sacked because of what his lawyer said.
Because what we hear now is that he was still receiving emoluments.
Correct. And that's another criminal act altogether. So he was allegedly sacked. He went to court to challenge the sack as being illegal. The court made an order that that sack was illegal. What is the implication? That he is still the staff of the government of the Federation. But he could not come because he was afraid he would be arrested. So the office of the Attorney General, being the chief law officer of the country, had to advise the relevant agencies for his reinstatement that there is an order of the court, give effect to it. What is the implication? He reinstated him. Now, the head of service still was nursing some doubt. And that's why there was that letter she issued. She said when she had a chance after one of those meetings at the Federal Executive Council, she approached the president.
So if I'm getting you right, it would seem that you've answered my question in one breath. Would you say that the Attorney General really cannot remove himself from all that we're seeing? I mean, cannot be said not to be culpable in this matter?
Well, in law, we call it res ipsa loquitur. The facts speak for itself.